It is your job to entertain people on your wedding day. Full stop. Hi, my name is Jamie Wolfer. I'm a wedding planner. I'm your online wedding planner. And today we're going to talk about something I like to call unpopular opinions. You gotta entertain your wedding guests. And for the past 6 years, I have been making YouTube videos giving you advice. And one thing I've tried to do over the years is really hold back my opinion, especially if it was a strong opinion, to not sway you in too far of a direction. But it's been 6 years of this, and occasionally your girl's gotta let her feelings out. So it's a frigid day here in the great state of Tejas, but I have a feeling it's about to get steamy in here from all of the hot tea I'm gonna be spilling. Did that work? It rolled off the tongue nicely. Without further ado, the very first video in hopefully a new series that I'm gonna call Unpopular Wedding Opinions. Let's jump right on into it. For the record, before you get all spicy about the way I titled the video, I don't hate the player, hate the clickbait game, okay? Like, I have to get people to click on the video somehow. You know, especially if you've been here for a while, you know that, like, I don't want you, like, stretching yourself. I'm a huge fan of weddings that are balling on a budget. What I take argument with, though, is the attitude that this is my wedding day, I'll do whatever I want, and my guests will deal with it. No. That is not how we foster healthy family and healthy community. You're going to take what I have to give you and deal with it. Now, it's one thing if you have a select person or a select few people that are just being whiny. You're like, can it? I don't want to hear it. It's my wedding day. I get to make these choices. That's not the issue at hand here. It's when people start to use that term, it's my wedding day, I'll do whatever I want, as a reason to cut corners in making a good event happen. Okay? I heard someone put this, a professional stated this years ago, and I stole this term and started using it as my own. I don't remember who said it. I don't. It was in person. It's not even like I could cite an account or something. Which, by the way, the first time I posted something on TikTok that went viral, I didn't give the photographer credit and got roasted in the comments because I didn't realize that I could give credit to a person who didn't even exist on the app until after the thing went viral. Okay, never mind. I digress. If you don't meet a guest's basic needs, they will leave. They will leave. It is your job to meet some very basic needs and some attention span needs. Let's dive into them, shall we? This is a very low barrier to entry, okay? Low barrier. I'm not talking acrobats. I'm not talking a stand-up comedian during cocktail hour. I'm not talking about any of that. We just have to be aware of what other people want, need, and or expect from a wedding day. Yes, sometimes you have to fulfill some expectations. First and foremost, your location. Try to make it as convenient as you can for as many people as possible if you want a lot of people to attend. It's frustrating to see couples who have long-distance weddings or destination weddings that get frustrated when family members or friends cannot make that journey because finances are rough, like real rough for some people right now. Have you heard of inflation? It's a lot. Crippling for some. So to have an expectation that family members will be able to travel and spend a lot of money, or friends, it is a high expectation. So please take it with a grain of salt. If you do plan on doing a small elopement or a destination style wedding, you will lose out on guests coming to your event. So we do that with grace and we do that with kindness to the best of our abilities. Of course, this is barring any sort of idiot in the family or any person who's opinionated or causing drama or making a ruckus. We're not there to serve them. That's not what I'm talking about, but we're cutting out the attitude of my day, my way. Okay? While still having your day and having it your way. It's just the attitude that I have a problem with. Your ceremony should be, at the very least, understandable. I get this question a lot, especially when we've got people that are marrying into a family that speaks another language, and your family speaks another language. That part gets a little bit complicated. So a couple suggestions for this, because this, again, I'm not intending to be overly abrasive with this video, but if someone's bored, they're probably going to go home early, right? If they don't understand anybody or the ceremony is like beyond comprehension for them because it's in a different language, we want to find some ways to accommodate and or mitigate that. 2 things you can do. 1, have a program. Very low cost, super easy. You could pass it out, have it in both languages. So that way maybe one language on one side, the opposite on the other. You can explain any of the cultural things that you're adding in for those of your friends and family that may not be used to that. Just a handy little tool for people to look at to help explain what's going on. Secondary to that, if you do choose to, you can have someone do the service in both languages or have a translator. I've seen it done. People think it sounds clunky and awkward. It's not. It's beautiful. It's really sweet. In fact, there was one wedding that we did in Austin where the officiant spoke both languages and said it in both ways, and she just did fantastic. was seamless. We actually have a behind the scenes of that event. I'll see if I can remember to tag that in the description box down below for you to check out. But it's super hard if you have a ceremony in another language or goes for a really, really long time for people to track with this. People get bored during ceremonies. It just is what it is. There are some cultures and or religious sects, such as Catholic services, Greek Orthodox, that are naturally much longer, that you kind of can't trim down. I would still recommend potentially considering adding in a program, especially for friends and or family members who don't practice that faith, to understand what's going on. It'll just give a little bit more context. Is there a chance they're still going to get bored? I hate to break it to you, yes. There's a chance. They will be. It's a 45-minute ceremony, potentially half of it in another language. How are they supposed to be entertained? Your love story is cute and all, but at a certain point, it's gonna be boring. But if you're having a ceremony outside of that, you have no excuse to have a boring wedding ceremony. Why? Enter my friend Mark Allen Grollo with the Unboring Wedding. Literally, his mission is to make sure your ceremony's not boring. He's like, so many people try to like rush through it and make sure that it's just done because so many people see boring wedding ceremonies. But luckily, Mark has invented the gorgeous, the wonderful, unboring wedding. You should definitely go check out if you're having a family member or friend officiate your wedding. You need to go check out this program. So if you want to check him out, I'll link Unboring Wedding Academy right here. And I will leave his channel in the description box down below. Y'all need to go check out his channel. Regardless of whether you're having a non-professional do your ceremony or not, he's going to give you so many incredible tips. Get over there. Watch some of that. Big love to Mark. Adults have the attention span of about 20 minutes max. And that's for someone who's good at giving speeches and talks. If you look at my channel, I try to very rarely go above 20 minutes because I lose y'all. We actually look at the analytics of when I start losing people. I can't go for too long. So unless the tea is piping hot like today's video, people typically don't have that long of an attention span for this kind of thing. So when you are planning out your ceremony, typically what I do is I put 20 minutes for the ceremony itself, but schedule 30 minutes for the overall activity of the ceremony. So it buys us a little bit of time to start late. We usually do, little 5-ish minutes late. Super normal, unless bride or groom or couples insistent on having it start on time. So it buys us a buffer, just in case. And then if we end a few minutes early, we've gained back that time into the ceremony. 20 minutes. It's a sweet spot. Unless culturally or religiously you have to go outside of that, then provide context for your guests. I would encourage you to. You don't have to, but I encourage you to. You gotta serve food at your wedding. I see people try to get out of this. There was the infamous Minnie and Mickey sighting in lieu of providing food. If you missed it, I did a whole podcast on this. This one was wild. Instead of having food at their wedding reception, this couple chose to hire Minnie and Mickey impersonators to come instead. And I just think that like the Disney magic didn't fill people's stomachs as much as they hoped. So if you are planning a wedding, you need to provide food. Notice, I didn't say dinner. Dinner's expected, but if you choose to do apps and desserts only, totally fine. They have to be heavy apps. We're not talking a chip bar, okay? They have to actually be substantial. Otherwise, people will get hungry and they will leave. Here's my theory for why we want to entertain guests. I know we're already a handful of minutes into this and I haven't even shared this part yet, but you don't want bored guests because bored guests go home and you paid for a guest to be there for the whole night, right? You paid a lot of money for the centerpiece, for the table, for the chair, for the DJ to be there, for the venue that you're having it at. So many things are contingent on a several hour long activity, right? Event. So if they cut short that event, you've now lost out on people being there for several hours because they left because they were bored or they were hungry. They were not entertained. Are you not entertained? No, I'm not. I'm going home. I'm hungry. The music sucks. One more note under the attention span. People, limit your toasts. I had one event, and I've talked about this before on this channel, where the toasts went for about 45 minutes. 11 people stood up to give toasts. 11. And half of them were fraught with inside jokes. I kid you not, at a certain point, one table pulled out a cell phone and started watching a football game and cheering. Toasts are not meant to go on for that long. They are simply not. You will lose people's attention span. So the sweet spot is about 20 minutes. You can go a little bit over. Since we're switching speakers, that's okay. So if you want to go 25, that's fine. I find 20 minutes to really be like nice on that. And make sure this happens ideally after dinner. Especially if you're going to have a barrage of people walking up there. And don't fall under, okay, gloves are off for this one. Don't fall under the assumption that because two people walk up together, that it's going to be a joint toast or a joint speech, unless one person's just standing there not touching the microphone. If two people walk up, I'm planning two speeches. As your wedding planner, I plan two speeches. Why? Because sometimes moms or one of the parents or someone is like, I think I'm just gonna stand there. I'm not gonna really say anything. And then they feel bad and they put together a 17-minute speech. And you're just like, so you decided to say something, huh? Great. I usually tell my clients to tell those that are giving toasts and or speeches, plan for about 2-3 minutes. And on my end, I write in 5. So if 2 people are walking up together, I'm planning on them taking about 10 minutes. Now, these aren't hard and fast rules. They're more like guidelines anyway. But the main point I'm really trying to stress here is don't invite too many people to give speeches and limit the amount of time that they're allowed to talk. Which, it's not like I don't share this information with people. There's another event where there was a dad came out with a packet. It was stapled in the corner, stapled, of his speech. When his speech started, the sun was up. When it ended, the sun was down. He had a full range of lighting during this. There was a costume change. He brought out a change of clothes, luckily just the top half, and kept his undershirt on so no one was frightened away. The couple might enjoy it. You as the couple might enjoy all of these speeches, all these people speaking into you, and I get that. I love words of affirmation, and I love that for you too. Your guests do not. And if you want them to stay and enjoy the event that you paid a lot of money for, we have to respect and not lose their attention. Another one that might ruffle some feathers, you have to play music that people like. Okay? You just have to, not the whole night, okay? I know. Just everyone gets real testy around Bieber and T-Swift and Bruno Mars, okay? And some of you are like, we're Swifties. We never get testy about T-Swift. Really? You do if someone challenges you. Nice try. I know your type. Thank you. I had a conversation with one of my favorite DJs, DJ Griff. He's fantastic. Shout out to you. Love you, homie. Miss you so much. Because he's in Southern California where I'm from, and I moved. And so I can't afford to fly him out for all the events out here. Otherwise, I would. I don't know if this was in a podcast or outside of a podcast, but we've talked on multiple occasions about how sometimes couples will be really, really strict of do not play this and this and this and this and this. And it's not because it's crude language. It's just because the songs annoy them. But a lot of them are songs that get people out onto the dance floor. A mark of a good DJ is a dance floor that is enjoying themselves. So sometimes that means Uptown Funk needs to be played. Now, if that's on your hard do not play list, that's fine. But if you want to make sure everyone's enjoying themselves, you're going to have to play some music that everyone can and will likely enjoy. Another great example of this is at my husband's, one of his dearest friends' weddings that we were attending. Someone asked for alt rock. No, what was it? Pop punk kind of vibes from mid-aughts, late-aughts to be played at the wedding, which is not dancing music, right? People don't really dance to Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. But someone requested the DJ play this, and from that moment on, anything within that genre packed the dance floor, okay? So sometimes a DJ just needs to pay attention to what draws the crowd out. And respectfully, your suggestions might not be good. They might suck. So hire a DJ that you trust to read the vibe of the room. Sometimes that means busting out something old and funky to make sure everyone just this close to prosthetic hip needs to schedule their surgery for tomorrow, okay? Because we want them moving, we want them shaking, we want them enjoying themselves. If you're having dancing. If you're not having dancing, I have an entire video dedicated to what to do, how to entertain your guests without dancing. I'll go ahead and link in the description box down below or right up here, should you want to take a look at that. Don't worry, you don't have to dance to have fun. But if you're going to dance, make sure it's good, okay? Okay. Temperature matters. This has nothing to do with entertainment. This just has to do with basic needs. Sometimes I will get pushback from clients so if it dips below 65, people get cold at night. And if you're like, that's not cold. People are silly. That's not cold to you. You know? I feel like some people I know as they get a little bit older become part lizard and need to live in a very warm environment and become quite prone to getting cold if it dips down in that direction. Or, it's my wedding. They can bring a jacket. They can deal with it. I'm not forking out $500 for space heaters. Okay. You're right. It is your wedding. You are totally allowed to save money on that. People will leave. If they're cold, they're not going to stay there. They're going to be miserable. They will leave. Conversely, if it is extremely hot outside, somebody may pass out. Literally, it's happened at 2 of our weddings. People have passed out. Just fallen over from the sheer heat. You got to be mindful of situations like that because guess what? Sometimes those guests don't stay. Usually when they face plant in front of 150 people, they don't really feel like sticking around for the rest of the night to, really simmer in that humiliation. It's gonna be too cold, under 65 degrees, and your wedding's outside. Please consider having space heaters. If it's gonna be supremely hot, please consider encouraging guests to bring umbrellas. Be aware they will affect the photography And or keep your ceremony short. If they're in the blazing sun, go through it more quickly. We cannot have these high expectations of a large group of people, whether it's 40 or 140, to stick through miserable parts of our events. We have to stop saying this idea of, if it's my event, they will deal with it. Yeah, but hypothermia is a bit much, right? To celebrate your love story. It's just a bit much, which I'm worried it doesn't set in at 65 degrees, okay? But heat exhaustion, or less dramatically, really, really bad music, people won't stay. It's not their vibe. It's not their jam. They don't want to be there. They're miserable. They're hungry. They're considering eating Minnie Mouse's arm. They're gonna go. And lastly, but most importantly, your timeline matters I cannot even express to you how fervently I feel about this. Your timeline matters so very much. And anyone who says that, oh, it's fine, I didn't write a timeline and my event was fine, let me talk to your vendors. Let me talk to them and see how much they were scrambling behind the scenes to make sure your timeline felt fine. Let me talk to your guests and see if they agree with you. Because the best kind of event is one where guests don't feel like they have to look at their watches, right? And they're not like, when's the next thing starting? Or how long have we been sitting here? When's the food gonna start? When are the toasts gonna be over? When can I leave this thing? The best kind of event is the events where people just feel comfortable and want to chat and want to hang out. They're enjoying their meal. It doesn't have to be the best meal on the planet. It doesn't. That's not the requirement, okay? But we need to make sure that they're fed and it's enough and they're satiated enough to hang out with you and dance to good music. But we have to make sure your timeline is smooth, because if it is not, your guests will notice. Because if you start late, they'll notice. If cocktail hour runs late and you run out of food, they'll notice. If you take 45 minutes for speeches, they'll notice. If for some reason the dance floor doesn't open up for another hour and a half, they will notice. If the music is bad, they will notice. And if none of this matters to you and all I've done is enrage you with my strong opinions on this, then please, I invite you to engage in the comment section down below. That's A-okay. I'm just here to tell you from experience, when these things are neglected, your guests will notice. So if you want to make sure that you have a smooth timeline, if you want to make sure you have a smooth and seamless day, you need to be communicating to your vendors when things need to be happening and then pass it off into their capable hands and let them handle it. That's why we literally invented something called perfectweddingtimeline.com, where you can go and create the perfect wedding timeline. Don't believe me? Go check it out. Read the testimonials. People are raving about this tech because you don't know how to put together a timeline. You don't, right? And you shouldn't. You've never done this before. You're not a professional, okay? You don't know how to do this, and that's what this tech does for you. So it helps to let all of your vendors know when things are happening so they can stay on track so your guests just don't notice. The best kind of events that I can create, the best kind of nights that I can foster, the ambiances that are just pristine and unbroken and everyone's so invested in what's happening in front of them, are the ones that have a gosh darn good timeline. It's my top secret. My goal is not necessarily for people to leave your wedding going, that's the best event I've ever been to in my entire life. I'm not saying we're gonna knock their socks off, but what I am saying is let's check that attitude of, it's my wedding day, I will do whatever I want. And please remember, you need to take in your guests' basic needs and entertainment requirements into account. What are your thoughts? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Jump on down there into that comment section. Let's have a conversation about it. And if you too have an unpopular wedding opinion, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. Who knows, you might inspire our next episode in the series of unpopular wedding opinions. Why did I just become a news anchor? I don't know. That's what we have for this week's video, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you like the new series, jump on down there, hit that like button, and subscribe to this channel for more tips and tricks for the modern day bride. I'm here for you. I want to help you. I want to make sure your day is a smashing success, that you enjoy yourself and your guests enjoy your event so very much. I want to make sure your money is well invested, right? We're not spending thousands of dollars on an event that people leave early. That's not what I want for you. That's not what I want for them. And I'm not expecting it to be the most magical day of your life, but I'm going to try really, really hard to make it pretty darn special. And until next week, bye guys.